Good evening. This is Real News from Real Vita TV. I'm your host, Jeremy Coe. Thank you for joining us. We'll be taking a deep dive tonight into ongoing disclosures by the federal government into UAPs, stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, formerly Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. It is a modern official term used by government agencies such as NASA and the Pentagon's AARO to describe objects or events in the sky, underwater, or in space that cannot be immediately identified or explained. But first, the following are just some of the many other issues we're following here at Real News. First, domestic news. The United States is mourning the sudden passing of Senator Lindsey Graham. While the nation navigates a dramatic geopolitical escalation with Iran, the final stages of a historic domestic World Cup, and significant shifting dynamics in federal government leadership. First, Washington and national politics. The political landscape was upended by the sudden death of South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham at age 71. The Washington, D.C. Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that the long-serving Republican and staunch ally of President Trump passed away from a ruptured aorta brought on by chronic heart disease. His death leaves a massive vacuum in the Senate, forcing a fractured Republican Party to rush to find a replacement ahead of upcoming November elections. Concurrently, uncertainty lingers over the Senate leadership, as long-standing leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky has remained hospitalized for 3 weeks following a severe fall. In his first public statement since the incident, McConnell acknowledged that he briefly lost consciousness during the fall due to his childhood struggle with polio. On the legislative front, President Donald Trump announced that he will refuse to sign a sweeping bipartisan housing bill. Trump framed his refusal as a direct protest against the unresolved status of the Save America Act, stalling domestic infrastructure efforts. Immigration enforcement, or ICE, has faced intense national scrutiny following 2 separate fatal shootings involving agents within a single week. In Houston, the shooting death of a Mexican immigrant, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, ignited heavy pushback. While ICE authorities alleged that Araujo attempted to ram agents with his vehicle, local Houston officials and legal representatives for the vehicle's passengers sharply contested the claim, calling out a severe lack of federal collaboration. A second fatal ICE-involved shooting occurred shortly after in Maine, amplifying calls for structural oversight. Simultaneously, the Department of Justice, or DOJ, opened an active federal investigation looking into misconduct allegations surrounding United Auto Workers, or the UAW, President Shawn Fain. In healthcare oversight, the federal watchdog for the Department of Health and Human Services announced a major crackdown, recovering $5.56 billion in projected savings and barring over 1,200 fraudulent individuals and corporations from participating in federal programs. The cash-strapped U.S. Postal Service officially raised the standard price of a first-class letter stamp to 82 cents, up from 78 cents. Who mails anything anymore? Infrastructure crises. In New York City, the Department of Investigation initiated an emergency inquiry after structural failure and buckling in a Midtown office high-rise forced the closure of multiple city blocks due to a partial collapse threat. Now, also public health monitoring. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, officials are tracking a multi-state outbreak of cyclosporiasis, a waterborne parasite causing severe gastrointestinal illness. Over 145 cases have been flagged across 17 states, with a sharp spike noted in Michigan. As to the climate and environment, in Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz mobilized the National Guard to support local crews battling escalating wildfires, tearing through northern regions of the state. Now, some good news. This week, our regular feature on good news lands here in our national news section. The United States of America marked its semi-quincentennial on July 4th, 2026, celebrating 250 years of independence. The historic milestone was observed with massive nationwide events, bringing together local grassroots traditions and major national spectacles. The celebrations featured a blend of traditional patriotism and modern grandeur. Major cities hosted exceptional public displays. The New York State Harbor welcomed Sail 250, a massive international flotilla of tall ships and warships from over 20 nations, accompanied by a special Times Square ball drop. In Washington, D.C., they hosted the Great American State Fair on the National Mall, complemented by military flyovers and a record-breaking fireworks display that deployed 850,000 fireworks. In Mount Rushmore, it served as the backdrop for a key address delivered by President Trump. We'll show you some video. Here's President Trump also being accompanied by the Rough Riders of Teddy Roosevelt fame back in the Spanish-American War. Now, in Philadelphia and Houston, they also hosted matches on July 4th for the 2026 FIFA World Cup on the exact anniversary date of our independence from Britain. More on the World Cup later in this same program. And in Texas, where everything is bigger and better, y'all, a massive drone show wowed crowds. We'll show you a little bit of the spectacular drone video right here. The planning of the milestone reflected the contemporary American landscape, operating through two separate organizing entities: America 250, a nonpartisan congressional commission established in 2016, focused on civic history, student contests, and community-driven events with the goal of engaging all 350 million Americans. Meanwhile, the White House-backed Freedom 250 Task Force emphasized a focus on American exceptionalism through large-scale public events and traveling freedom trucks or exhibits. Despite logistical hurdles, including extreme summer heat waves and thunderstorms that delayed several outdoor ceremonies, as well as lingering political debates over the representation of American history, communities across all 50 states participated, and from the oldest continuous parade in Bristol, Rhode Island, to local historical reenactments, bell ringings, and the placement of a multi-state time capsule to be opened in 2276, if we're still here. The event emphasized the enduring strength of the country's civic tradition. Ultimately, the 250th anniversary served as an invitation for the public to reflect on the nation's founding principles, honor its diverse progress, and look forward to its future. The anniversary was celebrated all over the world in different countries, including in Japan, a nation we defeated in war and used 2 nuclear weapons on less than 80 years ago. We'll show you a little bit of that spectacular celebration in Japan here. Now, Moving on to some more global news, the mid-2026 international news landscape has been dominated by severe military escalation in the Middle East, a high-stakes FIFA World Cup in North America, deep domestic transitions within Iran following a major leadership void, and intensifying European security anxieties. First of all, we'll go to the Middle East conflict. The U.S. and Iran escalation and Gaza shifts. A major crisis has erupted in the Middle East as the United States and Iran entered a cycle of direct military confrontation, following statements by President Donald Trump declaring that a previous ceasefire is officially over. The U.S. and Iran traded intense waves of airstrikes for multiple consecutive weeks. More specifically, the United States used airstrikes as well as long-range missiles, while Iran is limited in their shorter and intermediate-range missiles and drones. The conflict severely escalated when Iran claimed unilateral control over the Strait of Hormuz, a vital maritime artery for global energy, and declared it closed. In response, President Trump announced that the United States military would take over and reinstate a blockade on the strait. He further threatened to impose a 20% guardian charge on transiting cargo vessels. This maritime standoff caused traffic through the strait to plummet, triggering immediate volatility in global oil markets. Observers warn that sustained U.S. operations are putting extreme pressure on domestic weapons stockpiles, which remain heavily depleted. Concurrently, regional proxy dynamics shifted as Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen accused Saudi Arabia of conducting airstrikes against Sana'a International Airport, vowing severe retaliation. Meanwhile, broader territorial dynamics altered significantly. Updates revealed that Israel now controls nearly 70% of Gaza, pushing substantially deeper into the territory than the 50% it held when the U.S. brokered ceasefire was originally established last year. Turning now to Iran's power vacuum and domestic uncertainty. The external military crisis coincides with profound domestic political instability inside Tehran. Following the death of Iran's longtime supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the Iranian regime held a massive state funeral to project strength and institutional continuity. However, the prominent absence of his son, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, from the funeral proceedings fueled intense international speculation regarding his physical condition and standing. This sudden absence has left a visible power vacuum at the highest tier of the state. The regime now faces a deeply fractured political landscape, balancing internal succession anxieties with failing diplomatic channels. The Iranian Foreign Ministry admitted that negotiations are in a severe crisis phase as Tehran declares Western diplomacy increasingly futile. Also, now a major shift in the Russia-Ukraine war. In recent months, Ukraine has waged an extremely effective long-range drone campaign targeting Russian energy infrastructure. These strikes have successfully disabled a significant portion of Russia's oil refining capacity, triggering a severe domestic fuel crisis. The recent pressure on the Kremlin is evident across multiple fronts. Also, refinery strikes. Drone strikes have crippled up to 1/3 of Russia's designed oil refining capacity, significantly disrupting both domestic fuel distribution and the military supply chain. Gasoline lines as well, with production falling well below summer demand. Over 90% of Russian regions have reported supply disruptions. We're showing some video here of the long fuel lines in Russia, which is crazy because it's one of the countries with the most proven oil reserves in the world. Motorists face panicked buying, mile-long queues, and strict rationing. The Kremlin, of course, responds. President Vladimir Putin's government has been forced to ban gasoline and diesel exports, urge remote work to reduce transit consumption, and seek emergency imports from neighboring countries. It is crazy for Russia to be importing oil and gasoline from other countries when they have always been a net exporter during the modern economy times. Additionally, European security and sanctions against Russia. In Europe, the European Union, the United Kingdom, and France coordinated a vast defensive and diplomatic counteroffensive against Russian hybrid warfare. Britain announced a sweeping new package of targeted sanctions aimed directly at dismantling Russian cyber networks, which Western intelligence blamed for executing a systematic campaign to sow social division and chaos across Europe. Simultaneously, European allies, facing increased sabotage, prepared to confront Russia, while Ukraine presented a new air defense plan in Paris. The EU also announced a €120 million aid package to bolster Moldova's air defenses. Now, a deep dive into the continuing disclosures of aircraft and beings from out of this world. Following a directive by President Donald Trump, the U.S. government is actively declassifying and publishing hundreds of files on unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. The Pentagon and intelligence agencies release these historical and modern records through the Pursue initiative. Some recent disclosure highlights include, in the fourth tranche release, on July 10th, 2026, the Department of War released 40 files, including 19 videos and 14 documents. Mysterious objects as well. The newest batch includes footage of a star-shaped object captured by sensors in the Yellow Sea and a maroon balloon-like object over the Atlantic Ocean. Historical records as well. The cache contains records dating back to 1948. This includes 1949 conferences analyzing mysterious green fireballs over the Los Alamos nuclear laboratory. The current government stance, despite this historic transparency, the government stresses that these files do not confirm extraterrestrial life or alien technology. Officials state that many reported objects may be drones, foreign surveillance, conventional aircraft, or sensor artifacts, while others remain genuinely unresolved. What's next? The U.S. government continues to review and publish materials, with more files slated to roll out in the coming weeks. To explore the declassified databases yourself, you can visit the official Pursue UAP portal. Now, even trusted cultural leaders in the U.S. have begun addressing these disclosures. Dr. Phil, everyone's favorite TV psychologist, made famous by Oprah and daytime television, recently addressed the disclosures on TV as well. We'll show you a little bit of what Dr. Phil had to say about these disclosures now.
I am absolutely furious that our government has been lying to us for at least 79 years. Hey, it's Dr. Phil here. I'm talking to you this morning because me and my team at Envoy Media have been given exclusive access by the White House and the Department of National Intelligence to the new tranche of information about UAPs. You may refer to them as UFOs. And we are very deep into that. Two things have become apparent to me. Number one, I am absolutely furious that our government has been lying to us for at least 79 years. Lying to us by omission, I think actually creating some misdirection. That's one thing. Number two, it's very clear that there are objects in our atmosphere here on Earth that are not of Earth. They're doing things, they're moving in ways that we just simply don't have the ability to do. So to me, that's not a question. That is well demonstrated. One of the things that's curious about this, and I think disturbing, is that they seem to be focusing at times around our nuclear facilities as far back as 1949. They actually held a conference about this, hidden from us, the Los Alamos conference, where they brought in Dr. Lincoln LaPaz, an expert on meteorites, because they were trying to say that maybe these are meteorites. They were very large, green objects, and he said, the foremost expert said, no, these are not meteors. Meteors don't move horizontally. They don't maintain their speed, and these things were moving with intention. They were navigating. They were moving, and these have been observed over 5 cities all having nuclear facilities. As recently as 2015, they were observed over the Pantex facility in Amarillo, which is a nuclear facility. That should bother you. It certainly bothers me. Now, why am I talking to you about this? Why me from a psychological standpoint? This matters. This matters to mankind. It matters to our value systems. What does it mean? What do we say to our children? If there is life that's not human, what does it mean to all of us? We're very deep into this. I'm going to be bringing you more information throughout the day, so stay tuned.
U.S. Congressman Anna Paulina Luna from the state of Florida has recently announced that there will be upcoming disclosures in a recent conversation with TV host Glenn Beck. I'll play some of that audio and video for you right now.
Do you know something that has not been released? Do you know things that you feel the American people should know?
There will be an announcement soon on one other kind of factor to all this, but it's nothing that I think it'll just be kind of give the assurance that people will understand that the phenomenon is real. But no, I mean, for the most part, everything that we have been able to discuss in a skiff, we can now talk about publicly. And what I will say is, without a doubt, the phenomenon is real.
There's growing speculation that all of these disclosures are building up to the ultimate big reveal. Obviously, here at Real Vita TV and Real News, we're going to continue following this story. In closing, for our deep dive, I want to address the 3 main responses to this disclosure that's been taking place by the Trump administration. Public opinion and expert commentary on recent and upcoming UAP disclosures are sharply divided into 3 main perspectives. First, the transparency advocates. Many hail the Trump administration's ongoing rolling releases of declassified Pentagon files and the creation of a new UAP governance board. They view the unsealing of dozens of files and military videos, such as footage of orbs launching orbs near secure sites, as a massive victory for public disclosure. The scientific optimist also, scientists like Harvard professor Avi Loeb, who leads the newly established White House UAP Science Advisory Council, emphasize utilizing high-quality data over storytelling to evaluate national security risks or potential non-human intelligence. NASA Chief Jared Isaacman also confirmed the agency has captured unexplained imagery, adding further fuel to the scientific push. And finally, the skeptics and critics. Skeptics remain highly cautious, noting that the release files contain mostly fuzzy images and mundane technical explanations like thermal blooming. Meanwhile, some transparency researchers fear the initiative is a dead-end ruse, warning that secretive agencies and private contractors are still not legally obligated to share their most classified secrets. Remember, a great deception is coming. Strong delusion that they might believe a lie is what the word talks about. Be wise, be discerning, and be safe. Now, we're turning to the wide world of sports and the World Cup fever. As to the wide world of sports, there's only one sport in the world that is truly worldwide. It's called soccer here in the USA, but football everywhere else. On a personal note, I have followed this tournament very closely. I became a soccer fan because my son started playing soccer when he was 5 years old. But his Mexican grandmother brainwashed him at a very early age, swinging his legs into a soccer ball down the hall of my home before he was even capable of walking. The United States is wrapping up its duties hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup, putting American cities like Kansas City, Dallas, and Miami on a global stage. The tournament has entered its highly anticipated semifinal round. The Final Four include European soccer powerhouses, Spain, France, and England. They're currently preparing to face off against Lionel Messi and the defending champions from Argentina, who are attempting to repeat their title victory. In quarterfinal action over this past weekend, England secured a narrow 2-1 victory against Norway in a nail-biting match in Miami Gardens, Florida, to advance to the semifinals. A continental shift. France successfully eliminated Morocco, and Spain defeated Belgium in their respective quarterfinal brackets to solidify the final lineup. The 2026 FIFA World Cup has reached its final week now, but it's left only these 4 heavyweight football nations standing. In a controversial move, FIFA leadership had expanded the tournament to 48 teams to increase global participation, and some expected lopsided matches, bad opponents, but instead the tournament by widening the number of teams that would be involved. Is this year been hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States. It has delivered some remarkable historic milestones, many unexpected underdogs, Cinderella stories and runs, and intense knockout drama, many games decided in the last minutes of overtime, or as they call it in soccer, extra time, or in penalty kicks. Some of the historic records and milestones include Lionel Messi's scoring record. He's officially now surpassed Miroslav Klose to become the all-time leading scorer in World Cup history. He claimed the throne by scoring twice during Argentina's 2-0 group stage victory over Austria. We'll show you just a little bit of Messi's highlights from this tournament here.
Nigeria. Right up the gut. What a ball that is. Messi on the turn. Options either side. Lionel Messi! There's your goal! There's more history! There's the magic man again! Waves. McAllister on the decks and on the save! The rebound is Messi's second goal! He might end the night as the World Cup's all-time top goal scorer. Messi with 2, Argentina with 2. Total control for the defending champions. Gonzalez, Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi! First career World Cup hat-trick. Ties the all-time goal.
2 to his left. It's forced Medina a little wide. Oh, it's beautifully left. And there it is. Yet another immortal Messi moment. The all bursting forward here if he can find him. Julian Alvarez, denied by Schlager. Messi, still Messi. They've got bodies in the way, but they couldn't keep him out the second time. History makers at it again.
Leo Messi match him. Here he goes. There he is. It was a sighter. And the second one was bang on target. Goal number 6.
And 6 of the best.
The first choice here at this World Cup, one of a number of players from Atletico Madrid. In it comes to Lionel Messi. His control is brilliant. His finish is even better. It's sensational from Lionel Messi, and we would expect absolutely nothing less. Goal number 20 for the all-time leading scorer in the history of the World Cup. It's his 7th at the 2026 finals. Block made by Lachine the first time. Lautaro sent it across. Swept in, and of course it's Lionel Messi. Cometh the hour, cometh the man, yet again. Lionel Messi saves the day for Argentina. The pressure just built and built.
Also, Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe of France, has been in sensational form, remaining locked in a fierce multi-round battle against Messi for the 2026 Adidas Golden Boot, or the player that scores the most goals during the tournament. And Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most famous football players ever, became the first player to score in 6 separate World Cups. That means over 24 years being at the top of his sport. And his nation, Portugal, ultimately ended in the knockout stages. They were not able to move forward, so it will be his last time at the World Cup. Norway superstar Erling Haaland became an international sensation. Despite being knocked out in the round of 8, the charismatic superstar is the face of the future for global soccer. He is widely regarded as the most lethal pure goal scorer in world football, boasting a goal per 90-minute ratio unmatched in the Premier League's history, approximately 0.91 goals per every 90 minutes. He almost scores every time he takes the pitch. He consistently rivals and occasionally beats the early career scoring records of all-time greats like Messi and Ronaldo. We'll show you a little bit of his highlights here.
A definir, que la cruza bien. Gana Haaland, viene Gil de Roba. Frena la pelota, el derecho que juega por izquierda, toca para Haaland, la cabeza pide gol, gana al arco, le pegó.
Fabiana desde Perú. Acá se viene con todo. Wolf mete el centro, Haaland no. ¡Gol! De Noruega, la proyección de Möller Wolf. Y ahí estaba Erling Haaland, que no falla. El centro que va a venir de Ausnes con Roca. Haaland de cabeza y por arriba. Corrió tanto que lo volvió loco a su marcador. Pelotazo de Nusa para Haaland, enganche y le pega. No, la deja para Sorloth, tiene el segundo. Allá va Sorloth. No, se demoró demasiado Sorloth, por eso lo bloqueó. Centro muy pasado por el otro costado. Pecho y centro de Ayer. Centro de Ayer. Haaland. Por arriba Haaland. Salió mal el arquero. Horsfeld. ¡Gol!
Now, the host nations had mixed fortunes. All three of the host nations, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, all made it to the knockout rounds, but the United States saw a highly disappointing exit, falling 4-1 to Belgium in the round of 16. This early exit sparked nationwide debates regarding the future leadership of coach Mauricio Pochettino and youth soccer development. Meanwhile, Canada celebrated a monumental tournament by securing its first ever World Cup knockout stage win before falling to Morocco 3-0. Host nation Mexico lost to England 3-2, and they lost to England in Mexico City in the famous Azteca Stadium, which was rocking full of Mexican fans, heartbroken over their last-minute loss. Canada was defeated by Morocco 3-0. After a successful group stage and one knockout round win, the USA lost to Belgium. This marked the first time in tournament history that all the co-hosts were eliminated in the exact same round. But much better news for the United States has been the global acclaim by tourists from all over the world, marveling at the enormous air-conditioned stadiums like Jerry Jones Texas Stadium in Arlington, the free bathrooms, the unlimited drink refills, and the enormous food portions in America. Tourists from all over the world have made social media videos bragging about how their visit to the USA changed their perception of this nation, with thousands commenting on the friendliness of the people and the beauty of the scenery. We'll watch a few of those videos here.
I've got to say, collectively, we owe the USA an apology. And when I say we, I mean the entire world. And that apology is needed purely because of how much judgment the world has thrown onto the US over the last few years. The American people are probably the most genuine, welcoming, humble people that I've ever met in my life. 100%, if you get the chance, go to the US and travel and see it for yourself. I promise you, you won't regret it.
Something I love about America is the patriotism. Like, look at this flag. Look at it. Before coming here, I thought patriotism was something that you only see in the movies. And then I came here and you see the flag everywhere. On people's house, neighborhoods, on businesses. Sometimes you like drive your car on the highway and you see a huge flag. And like there is something so cool about people feeling genuinely proud of their country. Allez, vous voyez? Un là, un là-bas. And now I'm excited to see how it's gonna look like for 4th of July. Because if I see American flags everywhere right now, I don't even know how it's gonna look like for 4th of July. I think it's gonna be the craziest experience I'll ever have in my life. So Americans, keep being proud of your country. Don't listen to what people say on social media and stuff like that. And keep this patriotism because it makes the country even more beautiful.
This is a message to all Europeans that are in America for the World Cup. There's something nobody's telling you, and frankly, I feel a moral obligation to step in. You think you're going there for soccer? No, you're not. Because the moment you land in America is when it starts. Americans will tell you, you gotta try this local place. Then it's barbecue, then it's burgers, then it's tacos. Then somebody introduces you to biscuits and gravy. Trust me, you'll never want to leave. Every city has its own food. Every state has different food. And every American has a recommendation. So my advice to Europeans is simple. Be prepared. Be prepared to come back considerably heavier than when you went out there. Also, pack light. Not because of souvenirs, because your jeans are entering the tournament too. And unlike your national team, there's a very good chance they won't make it through the group stage. When I tell you the food is that good in America, I have to go on a weight loss boot camp every time I come back home. You'll start finding hole-in-the-wall places and putting your body into a food coma. You'll find a Ma and Pa restaurant and set yourself a 10,000 calorie challenge. And if you don't believe me, look, I'm even wearing merch from a barbecue place in America. American hospitality is just people trying to destroy you with kindness and melted cheese. And don't get me started on the free refills. All I'm saying is there's going to be a lot of Scotsmen getting their kilts remeasured when they get back to Scotland.
I ordered one pancake.
That's one pancake.
This is one pancake?
Yeah, welcome to America. You know, I used to be little like you. Now look at me.
This is why I like America, man. This is why I love America.
This is large fries in America. This is large fries in England.
That's crazy. It's so heavy.
We clearly didn't know the sizes of pizza because we ordered 7 of them. Oh my God.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Oh my God, the yellow school bus is real. The yellow elementary bus is real.
Ich will essen alles. Oh mein Gott, Tomaten. Oh my God.
Miss, here's your food. Is something wrong?
This could feed a whole family.
Gotta show you this because it looks like just another door to the entrance. But when you walk in here, look what happens. You're already inside the stadium. It looks like in a freaking shopping mall. Believe it doesn't look like a stadium. It's AC inside. Looks like there's an Apple store and probably a Starbucks there. America, you are doing things different than we used to in Europe. Looks like I'm at a freaking train station or something. Look at this. Look at this. Let's walk to the front and see where we can go. Wow. This is pretty real. I don't even feel like I'm in a football stadium. This is Dallas Stadium. So different than any other stadiums I've been before.
This week's segment on God News will be a little different tonight. Let me first say that I've been overwhelmed by the prayers and support shown to me by so many of you during this last, most difficult season of my life. Even during the grief of Eve's sickness and passing, I've seen the goodness of God so many times. I saw him when he brought her to me almost 30 years ago, through the many years of life and ministry that we had together, and even during her final sickness. I know that she isn't suffering anymore and is now eternally healed in God's presence, where she always wanted to be. I have seen his goodness over the past year and a half in healing me, but also in sustaining and even growing this ministry that Eve and I started together. And now I have seen his unexpected goodness again. I want all of you to know that God brought an amazing godly woman into my life. To protect the privacy of both of our families, I have not publicly discussed this until now. I recently got married to a wonderful Christian woman named Brittany Elizabeth. She is a joy to me and to all who know her, especially her 3 children and her many friends. I want to publicly express my gratitude to God that he didn't leave me alone here because I still have purpose and work to do. And I'm also confident that Eve, before she went to be with Jesus, specifically prayed for God to send me Brittany because she loved me and had told me and others, especially our Real Vita team, many times that she didn't want me to be alone either. I'm looking forward to all of you meeting and getting to know Brittany because I believe you also will see the goodness of God in this new season of my life, just as you saw it in the past. Thanks again to all of you for your love and prayerful support. In closing, that's all for this episode of Real News from Real Vita TV. Thanks again for joining us. As always, remember, In a world full of darkness, be the light.